Everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for the Bay Lakes Council Recruiting, Training, and Kickoff. My name is Doug Ramsey. I'm the field director for the council, and we will start with just some housekeeping, and then I'll turn you over to the folks running the presentations. So first off, bathrooms are down the hall. Just go out the door and they're to your right. At least that's where they're at here. Also, feel free to get yourself some water and something to eat. And now that the dad jokes are done, our real meeting etiquette. Please keep yourselves muted. That's for our present presenters, so you can hear them. And if you would, sign in if you haven't with the chat function. Give us your name, unit number, district, and your email address. That'll be the sign up for this course. And once we're done with that, as the presentation goes on, if you have any questions, please go ahead and use the chat function to ask your questions. What will happen is our presenters will answer them on the spot, and then they'll also keep a lookout for questions that maybe deserve some extra discussion at the end of the session. So that's how we'll run things. And with that, we will move on to our presenters. So in preparing for this training session, we were facing a lot of uncertainties. We've had the whole COVID situation, and we still don't really know what's happening with all the schools. And it was really interesting to try to plan for a fall roundup season with all of that going on. So we started at the Bay Lakes Council by forming a focus group with both the support and professional staff. And they're a sharp group, and they're smart enough to know what they didn't know. So like good scouting staff members, what we did is we decided to reach out to volunteers, both in and out of scouting, and get some more expertise. So a couple months ago, a membership steering committee was formed for the council. And introducing you to those folks at the top of your slide there, Nikki Petit, she is the Director of Business Development at Insight Creative in Green Bay. Nikki is an Eagle Scout mom, and she's also charter representative of PAC 4063, Troop 1093, Troop 6093, Crew 9093. So she has the whole scouting family there at First United Methodist Church in Swamico. In Nikki, we are blessed. We have in one person, someone who deeply understands the scouting program, who's been involved in it all along, but also has held her whole career in marketing. Insight Creative Inc. in Green Bay is a full service marketing organization, and they do it all. They do digital, TV, radio, news, the whole works. So when we get into Nikki's presentation, I think you're going to feel like we do. We're fortunate to have her. Also on the steering committee is Tim Coles. Tim started working for the Door County Daily News 7 or 8 years ago, and he's an Eagle Scout from Illinois. But ever since he started up there, not only has he been a best friend of the Bay Lakes Council, really putting anything out there in the news worthy of it that we said.
No, that's the new.
He even makes sure that we don't miss any opportunities, and reaches out to us when there's opportunities for us to get out there in the public. Also with us in the same room as me tonight, actually, is Roger Shellman. Roger is a veteran scouter. Many of you probably know him. And he's actually a retired newspaper editor and publisher. He used to run the Oconto County Times-Herald. And you'll see how that's going to fit into our programs later on. So we're thrilled to have Roger. Also, we sort of had an outside expert with our group. He couldn't make all the meetings, but Mike Norder from Schneider International is actually their Director of Corporate Marketing. And Dave Bainbridge, our Assistant Council Commissioner, recruited Mike. And he was a great sounding board to check our ideas against. So that's our steering committee, and they were joined by professional and support staff from the Bay Lakes Council, Jennifer Newville, our registrar, Lynn Moore in the registrar's office, Chris Weber, District Director of Lakeshore District, Bob Peckel, District Executive in Voyager, Patrick O'Brien, District Director in Hiawatha Land, myself, Brian Robb, Director of Field Service, and then in a very timely manner, this was just gearing up when Ralph Volkler, our new Scout Executive, arrived. And I think what you're going to see here as we go through the program tonight is that we were blessed with Ralph arriving. Ralph's experience is in multiple councils west of the Mississippi River where there was no school access, and also at National. I think as we go through this, you're going to see how Nikki and the membership steering committee and Ralph's vision for how things would work have really come together in a great way.
Yes, on video.
And I think that's going to really help make happen what we want to happen. So keep an open mind as we go through this. There's going to be a lot of different aspects to our campaign this year. And
okay, I think you may have muted yourself.
So at this point, go ahead, Nikki, take it away. Thanks, Nikki.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Doug. It's been a pleasure to be part of this committee, and I've really enjoyed my time on it. As Doug mentioned, I was hired, our ad agency really was hired to take a look at what we're going to do for this fall's recruitment. We know that COVID is most likely going to restrict our access to the schools. And as we all know, that's our big, entry point for getting youth into scouting. So for these 5 really reasons listed here, the first being the restricted access I just mentioned. Second, we know that there's going to be some negative national attention due to the, older lawsuits and ads that will be coming out because of that. I know I've talked to quite a few people that had COVID concerns about whether the scouts would be able to gather and continue to meet, or if there would be issues there. Many parents, as we can all relate, have lower income due to COVID layoffs or reduced sales, and so that is a potential concern. And lastly, we just started promoting that girls could join, and we haven't had enough time and opportunity to really get that word out there. And so those are kind of the five key concerns as our group started to meet. What you'll see from the next slide, though, is that really this time provides a really big host of opportunities that you may not have thought of. First of all, the lack of what we would perceive to be a normal school day means that parents are going to be looking for more organized activities for their children. I mean, if they're distance learning from home, mom and dad are going to need places for these kids to socialize and do things with their peers. As you may have experienced, I know my family has, social distancing has ignited a big movement towards getting outside. We haven't biked, kayaked, hiked more in my husband and I's 23 years of marriage than we have this summer, because there's not a lot of other things to do, and scouting obviously certainly supports that. Schools are no longer preparing kids for the basics, the budgeting and finance, the cooking, the sewing, the woodworking, other life skills, and scouting fills that gap. And I've heard countless times that parents are looking for programs that will offer that to their kids. And then kids, kids are kids. They need to be social, COVID or not. So Scouts offers a safe outlet for them to still get out. So I really believe that these 4 key points are going to overshadow what I mentioned previously. from there, as Doug mentioned, the Bay Lakes crew staff, smart group of people said, let's be proactive with this. They asked our ad agency, Insight Creative, to get involved. I work with 2 full-time media buyers that all they do every day is analyze TV, radio, billboards, print, direct mail, digital ads, Facebook ads, flyovers over Lambeau Field, ads in the mall. I mean, anything in the Midwest that you may want to promote, we've purchased. And we have several hundred clients that we do media buying for. So we took a look at the Boy Scouts needs and then pulled together what we thought was going to be the best way to try to reach the parents and the youth outside of, you know, the school day. What you're going to find and what I'm going to walk through here is a 5-pronged approach, mainly that is very digital in nature. The first item here, behavioral targeted online videos. Essentially, we're targeting women 25 to 44. We've deemed that to be the core age and gender of, not always, but the core parent who would likely be the one to pull the trigger to enroll their child in scouting. And we are purchasing the entire geographic area of the Bay Lakes Council, essentially going from north of Milwaukee up to the UP, to the lakeshore, and all the way, you know, over towards Wausau. And as these people search on Google for whatever it may be, or Yahoo or Bing or MSN, anywhere they search, the scouting ads will be placed on those websites. These are brand safe websites. They're large websites. The next slide is going to show you some of those types of websites that these ads will fall on. But the reality is it could be hundreds to thousands of various websites that the scouting ads will fall over the course of this. I will lay it out in a later slide, the dates. I think it's a 6-week time frame. 375,000 times the scouting ad will come up for people to see it. So the next slide here is going to show you just a slight idea of the areas. So, you know, it's going to be things like if you go on eBay, if you go on USA Today, if you go on people.com, if you go on ABC, Good Housekeeping, and so on. And I want to clarify, because I just saw the question, this will go in the entire area that services the Bay Lakes Council services. No area will be missed here with this. So if I didn't specifically mention your area, that's just an oversight. The second piece of this is very similar, but instead of ads just kind of going out there to any possible person of that gender and age group, this time, think of this like digital direct mail. We have this person's exact IP address. We know who they are. We know they're women. We know specifically that they have children between the ages of 6 and 11. And we know that they live in the Bay Lakes footprint. And we are going to make sure that we serve them with the ads. Again, about 360,000 times. They would fall on similar websites, but they're targeted at a specific person for a reason. The third piece is at the bottom of the slide. This is premium streaming ads. So if you are streaming online and you're, you know, watching any kid-friendly shows, a couple examples are on here: Animal Planet, Cartoon Network, Discovery Family, but you're streaming it. In other words, you're watching it online. They're going to see this ad. This particular piece of it is only reaching the Northeast Wisconsin, what we call the DMA, or the TV buying area. And I'll show you on a map a few slides down what that exact area looks like. The reason being, budget only stretched so far, and the first 2 pieces are going to reach that upper and lower part of our district so well, and budget didn't allow us to do the whole area for everything. This is going to reach about 252,000 impressions. This gives you a better idea to explain what that is. So if you have Spectrum, AT&T, DirecTV, Fios, or Sling, any of those, and if you connect to those using a Roku, if you use your Kindle Fire, if you use, Apple TV, Fire TV, PlayStation, and so on, and then you watch the shows that I brought up, the kid-friendly and family-friendly shows, you will see these ads. The point of the slide is just to let you know, because if I say, we're purchasing, just Spectrum, I want you to know we're really purchasing all of these. It doesn't really matter necessarily how you're getting that streaming content. We've got you covered. And if you go to the next slide, which is the fourth piece of this is called premium streaming, or what we call OTT, over the top. Essentially, this is the last layer of the digital. If we have missed you online for some reason or on your streaming, this is the last filter or group to make sure that we don't essentially miss anybody. We're purchasing 212,000 impressions here, but if you go to the next slide, I think it'll better explain who this last group is. These are people who might be streaming using Hulu, going direct through Fox News or CNN. So when you layer all four of these pieces together, regardless of how you're searching for information or regardless how you're streaming, if you're streaming the shows that we think are Scout friendly, these ads are going to be served to you. So those are the first four pieces of the media buy, and the last piece is cable ads purchased through Spectrum on family-friendly channels. So we have 108 ads running per week in the Northeast Wisconsin area, 754 ads total. And when our agency plugs that math into our system, it tells us that we are going to reach just shy of 94% of all women in Northeast Wisconsin, and each person will see it just shy of 7 times. Running 754 ads, but we know people are not sitting in front of the TV that whole time, so the average person sees it about 7 times. This gives you an idea of the map. So when I mentioned something's only running in Northeast Wisconsin, you can see it's that entire Appleton, Green Bay, DMA with the lines, trying to think of how to describe this, basically going up to Door County and up through Marinette. That is the where the brown lines are, that is the area, the zone that we are purchasing. So when Northeast Wisconsin is probably not a broad enough term, because it's quite a bit more than that. And then just as a reminder, the other pieces of this media are going even farther north and even farther south to make sure that no one is missed. Slipping to the next slide, these are the dates that the ads will run. They'll start September 7th and run through October 24th. Reason being, we wanted to give parents 1 or 2 weeks to try to get the kids acclimated to school, figure out what school is going to look like for them this year, and then hit them pretty hard leading up to when we would typically be ending those roundups. And the ads that you're going to see are going to be a collection of a group of parents that were interviewed last week on camera. They were posed several questions, things like, what was their favorite scouting memory? What did they like about scouting? Why did they enroll their children in scouting, and so on. And those are being made into some long format videos, 1, 2, 3 minute videos that will be shared throughout social and through the web, and then shorter, what we would call a vignette, a 30-second ads that will play on all of these digital pieces that I started my talk with. Someone just posed the question, why is Sheboygan not in this? It is. Sheboygan is included in that map. And I think
So
Doug is trying to start up a video.
we do have a short video if it works. And it's not the completed ad, but it is a snippet
Ooh.
of Nikki.
I haven't seen this yet. Do I look good in this?
You do. It's not framed and ad ready, but you'll get an idea of the flavor of this thing.
For me as a mother, as I was raising my boys, it was very For me as a mother, as I was raising my boys, it was very important to me that I raised kind humans.
Okay, I'm sorry, Nikki. So that's obviously buffering, but it really is going to be a powerful ad campaign, I believe.
I think it'll really make its mark because nothing was scripted. We didn't know the questions that they were going to ask ahead of time. And it was very just raw and honest. And we've got a lot of different people on camera, all with different experiences, all with different feedback. Each one will have a different message or reason why you should join scouting. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Me too. Thank you so much, Nikki. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, wonderful. So with that, we'll turn it over to our Scout Executive, Ralph Volker.
Got to get unmuted here. All right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Nikki. I think what we're trying to do is, in addition to what we normally do, we're trying to add some layers that give us a chance to reach as many people as possible. And I think that between what we're talking about with the ads that she talked about, as well as what we're talking about doing with our Facebook campaign, I think that you're going to see that we have a lot of different ways to reach people here. So why Facebook? And I'm going to tell you that I was drugged kicking and screaming into the Facebook era, specifically because of scouting and them telling me you got to be on this so that you can see what the power of it is. And so I got involved just specifically to do Facebook. And in areas where we have no school access, we're beginning to see that there's other ways to reach people. So 2/3 of all Americans are on Facebook, 68%. And that is the highest platform for any other type of social media. Now, this slide is from about a year ago, and my understanding is that Instagram is beginning to catch up. And so we're probably going to look at doing something with Instagram as well. But who uses these platforms? And you can see that our demographic of women, the decision makers between certain ages, go back to that slide, go back to the slide we were at. It shows that about 74% of them are on Facebook, 39% on Instagram. What we're finding is that Instagram number is beginning to climb even higher. And so we may need to take a look at connecting into that group from there. Go ahead and next slide. And so there's a few things. We're going to do what's called a geofence on your unit, and then we're going to boost it so that you're going to be receiving ads for anybody who drives within your area. Those ads are going to show up in different places, but for sure what we're wanting is for them to show up in your Facebook feed. And National has found that for every unit that has a geofenced average recruited 7.43% more kids. Now, the problem we've got is that you may have problems accessing your school, getting a joining event. We may not be able to deliver our flyers, but we've got to try something to try and get it. And so we're going to try and do it in this way. Go to the next slide. So the data also showed that single unit events performed better than with multiple. So in other words, if you're doing 3 schools that you're drawing from, you need to do a joining event in each school if it's going to be geofenced, so that you actually get the performance from that school. There was also one other element of it. Go to the next slide. the ones that are held at the schools work the best. So if we have to find an alternative location for you to do your joining event, you may want to consider a park. And then one of the reasons that churches don't work as well is that people think if it's Catholic, it's for Catholics, Presbyterian for Presbyterians, and it isn't until they meet you, they find out that this is for everyone. And so they have some thought behind it. So think hard. If you can't get into your school this year, where would you do a joining event? All right, so how we're going to work this is as you sign up for your flyers, we're going to need that information 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Because when we do this, we're going to want to place an event with a boost on it as an ad within the council's Facebook page. Districts will then be asked to share that ad within their district's Facebook page. This gives us what's called earned media and makes it so that we are not paying for any of that. Now we'll also boost it, and so that means that people who are not following us on Facebook are also going to see it. And Nikki, correct me here if I'm wrong, but it's about $8 per 1,000 views. And so it makes it so that we're going to get quite a few views on your ad.
That's correct.
And so, so we need 2 weeks prior to set up your flat ad and then put it out there. Now this works a whole lot better if your unit shares it with your families and your families then share it with theirs. And if there's some buzz that's created by whatever it is that your unit does to boost this up. So go ahead to the next slide. And we're not going to show the video, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it. There's a little video here that talks about a crazy guy dancing in the park at a concert. One guy comes and then the next guy finally comes and saves him. And then suddenly it becomes a movement and everybody comes. And so just like in the way the video would work, we want you to kind of prime the pump and make it so that that people feel like, okay, people are coming. And it's best if it's people that they know. So when you see your ad go onto our Facebook pages, you need to share it, and your people need to say they're attending or they're interested. And so that way, if somebody can say, okay, there's Jimmy Smith's name, they're going, we're friends with them, we play soccer with them, or we do this with them. So it might be more willing to come. So if you just let us do this and you don't participate in it, it isn't going to work very well. But if we add the boost, we have you share it with your people, and your people plug the buttons. Yes, they're coming. Or if somebody asks a question, you answer the question about what it's like to be in your unit. It makes it so it works really well. All right, next slide. So we are asking for your help on this. We encourage all families in the unit to share the ad on their timeline because that gets it out to their friends, and many of them are going to be in the school. We also encourage all families to click on the interested or going button, because this is how people know, oh, I'm not alone. There's 4, 5, 10, 12 other people that are actually going to be attending this. This primes the pump for other families. People consider joining, they may know, and because we're investing money into each one of these, we want you to invest with some boosts of your own. All right, next slide. We talked about this before, but hold the joining event at the school for which your geofenced ad. Don't host them at a church unless you have another choice. The best location is the school. The next location, best location is a park. If you're drawing from multiple schools, have multiple events if you possibly can. And one other thing, we're going to be creating a flat ad for your unit for the Facebook advertising. If you'd prefer us to use one of your pictures, make sure you give your district executive your photo that you would like us to put into that ad, because we prefer to have pictures of you guys doing things other than pictures that we take from the national website. And then a couple of other last things, make sure your Be a Scout pin is updated, because if it is, and we direct them to Be a Scout with some of the ads that we're creating through Nikki, we want them to be able to find you that way. There's also one other pin that you might want to consider. It's a Google Map pin. It does require you to get a postcard sent to you if you set up one, but it makes it so that if somebody surfs Find Cub Scouting near me, right now the only thing they find is the Council Service Center, and we'd rather them find you. But the only way you can get that done is if you sign up for it, get something on the line, and then have the pin, the postcard sent to the charter organization or the place where you're meeting at your event, and then you intercept it and send it back and confirm that this is you. All right, so next slide. I think that may be my last one. Yeah, so good luck on this, and we're looking forward to a great Facebook season. Hopefully we'll get a lot of folks to come.
Thank you so much, Ralph. So Jen Noville, our registrar, is up next, and she has just been a wonder in preparing all of our materials. So welcome, Jen.
Hi, everyone. So yes, as Doug said, I took a lot of the information that all of our experts on our committees and focus group came up with, and we've created some new resources for everyone, which are viewable for you all right now on the Cub Scout recruiting page on our website. Are you able to click that link, Doug? Awesome. So, yep, I can at the moment. If you want to scroll down just a little bit so we can get down to the links. My recommendation is that everybody start with the 2020 recruiting guidebook. This goes through all the different ways that you can recruit and build a social media campaign for your units. It touches on geofencing. It also goes through how to set up your Join Scouting event, which we do have 2 different ways that we'll be presenting to you today to do those. One will be similar to how we have done them in the past, where you can organize an event at the school. The other will be if we're not able to get into schools. But I will leave the details of that to Patrick O'Brien, who will be presenting a little bit later. The guide also goes through some general good practices and tips on how to contact your new families after they've signed up, how to organize your parent orientation meeting for after your Join Scouting event. I do also realize that those parent orientation meetings may need to be virtual. There are some great resources in here for helping you understand or navigate through the world of Zoom or WebEx, or a number of different virtual platforms that are available right now. And all of that information is in that guidebook. So that's really the spot where you will want to start. The other big piece that we did this year that's brand new is titled Recruiting Strategies for a Digital World. This is a great step-by-step how-to create your unit's digital presence. By digital presence, that can be your updating your pin on Be a Scout, creating your unit Facebook page, creating a unit Instagram, Twitter, or also creating a pin on Google Maps. We walk through all of the steps for each of those different platforms. And then also on that first page, I've referenced all of the BSA social media guidelines. Please be sure to take a look at that, because in this digital world, we also want to make sure that we're doing it safely for all of those kids that we're interacting with in a new way. Those are our 2 big pieces for this year that are brand new. Doug, if you want to flip back over to the thank you. The other piece I just want to call attention to, August 1st, we're going to ask that all of our units submit contact information. We're specifically looking for who's going to be heading up your recruiting efforts, so your new member coordinator. And we also have a new program that we're rolling out for hometown news correspondents. And we're hoping that every unit can identify an adult volunteer who would act in that capacity and help write press releases to get out to your local newspapers, sharing the good works of your units and all of the exciting things that happen right in your own backyards. That will be an online form. It will be up tomorrow. Let's see here. August 15th is the next big deadline, where we're hoping to be able to lock in some of your scheduled events for mid-September through October, where you'll be hosting your Join Scouting. And then underneath that header is where you can submit your request for support resources or flyers. There is an online form or a PDF, whichever you're most comfortable with. So those can be submitted, and then we'll get those to you before your event happens. Let's see here. We also have resources that you can print to share with your families. All of the rank worksheets that we had printed last year are available so that you can make copies of those as needed. The parent volunteer interest survey is there for you, as well as a great ad from the Scout Shop, who's running, I believe, a 25% off new uniforms for fall, which is a nice deal. And then this website will be where we continue to add resources as the campaign moves along. So if there are things on here that you have questions about, let me know. And keep watching and checking back here, because this will be where we'll be adding new content as it comes up. I believe those are our primary. We do also have a landing page this year for specifically that will be for directing people to be a scout so that they can look for a unit with their zip code. And that link will be available on this page, and we'll also be emailing that out to all of our leaders along with these materials this week. So if I'm forgetting anything, please let me know, Doug. Otherwise, that's about my piece.
Jen, that's fantastic. We can't even overstate, if we tried, the great work you've been doing on putting all those resources together. I would say for those of you that serve on the district level and help with the sign-up nights, probably the biggest thing you noticed is, or will notice, is in the past you've gotten a big container of stuff. You got a big kit, and the world has changed now, so each unit will not get a big kit. They will get a lot of online resources, and instead of spending tens of thousands of dollars on dead trees and flyers, we're spending it on advertising, so to really leverage and make up for the fact that we cannot get into the schools and talk directly to the kids for our school talks. So hopefully you'll agree that that's the right strategy, and thank you, Jen, for making this available to all of us.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so I kind of covered this. So how does this work in real life? So despite all the money we're spending on advertising and really leveraging the whole Facebook geocaching, all of that is an attempt to make up for not being able to get into the schools. And up in Michigan, we already know that we will have no access to schools regarding school talks. So we know that number one, doing it just like last year is not going to work in Michigan, and it's going to be on a school by school basis in Wisconsin. Our suggestion is that we try. If you're, try with your school district and see what they will allow. Use some tact, kind of feel things out in your own town right now. May or may not be a good time to contact your principal. Or it may just help push them, say, no, you can't have access. But try to figure things out. I've been talking to teachers in the Green Bay School District. But at some point, we really do need to talk to the principal and see if we can get in. Now, if we can, that works the best no matter what, regardless of all these other efforts. So if you can do number one, do it. Where most of us are going to end up is that we will not be allowed to talk to the kids in the schools. But a lot of the schools we feel will let you do a digital flyer. And that is certainly one of the resources you can request on that form that Jen showed you. So you can get digital flyers, you can get paper flyers for us, and you could ask that. Maybe they will put out the paper flyers for you. And now, just like we've done in the past, we're going to try to set up a sign-up night at every school. But in the age of COVID, what probably most of us are going to be asking for is not to come to the school for that sign-up night, but can we use your parking lot? Can we do a COVID-safe drive-through sign-up night? So that's kind of how it's going to work. Number three, finally, if you're denied access to the school parking lot, Ralph already showed us that the best the next best place would be a municipal park. So that's what we ought to try. Finally, our last ditch effort, if we can find nowhere that'll allow a COVID safe sign up event, we can work things virtually. But again, our two priorities, and we try to do this in the best of times, and sometimes we have failed at it. This is the year we have to do that right. If your PAC serves more than one elementary school, we need you to plan to have a separate sign-up event at each school. And Ralph already showed us on the numbers, we get a lot more families to join when we do that. And finally, we need to get those scheduled. And with that whole Facebook setup, we need to schedule it 3 weeks before it happens. And that allows the council to book the Facebook geocaching ads and leverage your efforts. So that's where we're at. So we did set the deadline at August 15th to get those school dates locked in. All right, so now you know how it works. And we've mentioned these drive-throughs. We're going to let Patrick tell you how that's going to work.
All right, thank you. I'll go into now discussing our drive-through recruitment events and how you can best set those up. These give you a good idea on how you should set those up in the preferred location in the school parking lots. Definitely want to make sure that we're organized just like a normal recruitment event that you would do inside the school. Definitely want to make sure this is well organized as well, and part of that is making sure we have enough people from our volunteers from our PAC or district helping us to make this possible. So utilizing volunteers will be definitely key in making sure that we have enough people to do this method. Then we want to as we go into that, Doug, you want to bring up the diagram, the sample diagram to you of what it could look like. This is definitely a little similar to the variation of last year's station method, but taking it from inside the school out into the parking lot. Where we'll start out first with a welcome station. So we'll have, depending on how much traffic you have, you definitely want to plan to have a second welcome station, so you can welcome two vehicles at a time. Then what we're going to do at the first station is welcome the families. You can have them, instead of having to pass papers back and forth or clipboards back and forth with people and pens and help limit contamination, we can just ask for the attendance sheet information directly from the families, and you can write it down on the attendance sheets. So you take that information, so you have something to contact parents with if for some reason they don't commit and sign up that evening. You can have somebody to follow up with them, with all families in attendance. Then definitely want to be friendly and let them know it's, it might approximately take 30 minutes to complete the whole cycle through all these stations. Then when we get to the next station, is a station about what we do. There's another one where it might be beneficial to offer two different lanes, or as we could say, for people to be talking about what briefly what Cub Scouts do, what plans to do for the year. This is where we definitely want to hand them information. So you definitely want to have your PACs or troop crew. You want to have your calendar for the year. You want to be able to hand that to them so they know what's going to go, what they can expect for this year. Definitely like to let them know what your unit's plans might be for virtual meetings if we need to go that route as well. And definitely want to hand them some key things for that as well. So you definitely want to hand them an application, a pen if they need it, and make sure that they have all the information they need in order to complete their applications, which takes us to the next station, which will be the registration station, where you basically have a dedicated area where you can have them all park and complete forms. And in this station, you definitely want to have some adults that are floating in this area to help answer questions, helping them if they have questions, filling out applications and such. You definitely want to have some adults that have good knowledge of what your PAC's doing, floating around to help them fill out the applications, answer any questions, to help seal the deal, and get them to sign up for your PAC by having all the answers to the questions that they may have. Then we want to definitely go into then you have the last station. You definitely want to have a checkout thing where they can turn in their application and the registration fees needed, and let them know when the next activity is, because they should have received a PAC calendar, so they know when it is. Make sure they have the PAC calendar, a sheet that lists who they're supposed to contact in the PAC. Cub master, den leaders, if those are figured out for different dens, definitely want to make sure they know how they're going to receive information as well. But you definitely want to have a checkout area to ask for the application and the fees to be turned in that night, so they get signed up. Like I said earlier, so to do these drive-through recruitments, the first choice is definitely going to be the school parking lots. Doing them at the schools where they're comfortable. Then the next best choice would be a municipal park, community location, and then you may have to go into other highly visible locations. One potential one could even possibly be bank drive-throughs. Most banks are closed when we do a sign-up night for scouting, and a bank drive-through might even offer an overhang if there's rain. If there's going to be rain, can't necessarily predict that 2-3 weeks out, but it could be an option if a school's not an option for us. And then I want to reiterate, definitely parent and leader help to help you and help do this. It's essential to being successful, to have enough help in being able to greet people, and having you guys look as organized as possible out there. And then definitely want to use the welcome station. Definitely sets the tone to be friendly and open and outgoing, and just welcoming those families to the Cub Scout recruitment for this year. And definitely make sure you close the deal by asking for their commitment to join, by asking for those applications and fees to be turned in that night. We definitely want to make sure we report our results to our districts and district executives that evening. Definitely want to report usually simple text, quick email to your TEs that evening will be perfectly acceptable, and we'll be looking for that information as well. So definitely send us the information, the details on how it went every night if we're not able to be at your recruitment event. And that's about most of what I have for you on drive-through recruitments.
Thank you very much, Patrick. We appreciate it. That resource, folks, is again on the Cub Scout recruiting page on the council website. We're going to turn it over to Bob Peckel now, District Executive for the Voyager District. One of the things you heard about was Be a Scout Parent.
So good evening, everyone. I am Bob Peckel talking to you about Be a Scout. I saw quite a few questions come through on the chat. I will answer them as best as I can. So Be a Scout, what is Be a Scout? Be a Scout is the online platform for parents to find units near them. It's on all of our advertising. It's going to be on that recruitment page that Jen was talking about. And parents can find information on the unit and apply online. So that's the big key button, is the big blue Apply Online button. And then what parents will see is they'll see a page that looks like this right here. It says Find Scouting Near You. They type in their zip code and they click on which program they want to do. So they do that, they hit enter, and they're going to see a bunch of listings that look like this. So they're going to look something like that. Now that is a very basic, very bare bones, absolutely nothing done to that listing. So we'll play a little eye doctor game here. Which unit pin, that's what these listings are called, is more inviting, number 1 or number 2? So number 2 is a much, much better pin. It's a much better listing. It gives more information for the parents. This is stuff that they want to know. Now, is number 1 bad? No. Could it be better? Yes. And number 2 could number 2 be better? Yes. And that's what I will briefly talk about. So the first thing that'll come up is the location of your unit. So this is a made up pin. This is not a real one. So the first thing that'll come up is the location, where you guys meet and who your charter partner is. Then the next thing that'll come up is the contact. This person can be a Cub Master, a committee chair, a new member coordinator. It can be, or someone who is designated as the person to contact for new members. That is something you can set up, and I will briefly talk about that in a moment. Best practice, you are going to want a contact in there. Understandably, some people are hesitant to put their phone number online. At least have an active email. So please, please, please update your information in your my.scouting page. Make sure that it's not a Yahoo email address from your high school days that gets junk Wayfair emails. So please make sure it's an active email. Next thing you're going to want is a website. If your unit doesn't have a website already, now's a great time to start one. Facebook, Instagram. Jen has a great guide. Again, it's on the webpage talking about how to set those things up. Parents want to see all that information. They want to see pictures. They want to see your calendar. They want to see what you guys do. And then the next thing that'll pop up is whether you are a family pack, a boy pack, or a girl pack, or a boy troop, or a girl troop. And then the big $1 million thing right there is that green check mark is online registration is available. So that parent, they can be on their phone, they can be on their computer, their device of choice, they can click apply now, and they go through a step-by-step sign-up process where they can register their child into scouting. And it's all done right then and there. It's all electronic. There's no chasing down signatures, no chasing down applications, no chasing down money. It's all done through cards, and it's all electronic, and it's done, and they end up on your roster. Last thing, to me, this is the most important. This is where you guys, the volunteers, can set up a little text box of what you guys do. Best practice, again, is you want to put down where you recruit from, because I know there are units that recruit from 2, 3 schools. The thing about Be a Scout, it goes, the zip code location, the scouting near me, it goes by where you meet, not necessarily what schools you recruit from. So put down where you recruit from, when and where your meetings are, be as specific as possible. And then if you would like, you can advertise an upcoming recruitment event. So like here, we'll be holding a sign-up night at St. Mary's at September 15th, and then another one at Treehouse Elementary. So it's a good time to advertise that so parents can, again, have that information. And another thing, our organization, we have a lot of jargon, we have a lot of acronyms. Avoid that. New parents who are unfamiliar with the program, they're not going to know what a charter partner is. They might not even understand what the word PAC means or DEN. So use plain language, avoid jargon and acronyms so that way parents understand. And then these are the 2 buttons. So apply now, that takes them to a registration page where they can sign their kid up for scouting right then and there, and it's all done, bing, bang, boom, and it's wonderful and amazing. National has made lots and lots of great improvements to it in the last year. So it's really fantastic. It's really slick. Check it out. The request more information button, if a parent wants to get in contact with you or whoever or someone in the unit, they'll hit that button, it'll take them to a form, and then that form, what it'll have is they'll fill out their contact information, the name of the scout, or if it's themselves, if they're wanting to volunteer themselves as part of your troop or pack or crew, they'll put that information in, and then that information gets sent to the above contact information up here. So again, please make sure that it's an active email, because that's where all those things go. So how do you do all this is probably what you're wondering. This sounds amazing. So on a forest level, you go to my.scouting, you click on menu, you click on unit, and then you click on organization manager, and then unit pin. And with that, if you just do that, you can look at it and you can set up your pin. You can put all this information that's above, you can put that right in there and take care of that right there. There are webinars that National has hosted about this. We could talk about Be a Scout for an hour or 6 hours. National has done training on Be a Scout by itself, so highly recommend go look at those webinars, and there'll be a link in just a moment here. Big important point here. Any updates or changes to your PIN, your listing that I discussed, they take 24 hours to go into effect. So update your PIN sooner rather than later. I know some of us can get really excited. We go in there, we update the PIN, and then you go look on Be a Scout, and it still looks like what it used to before. It updates overnight. So make sure that once you have your recruitment date and all your details figured out, put that in your PIN, get that taken care of right away. Check for spelling, grammar, formatting, make sure that everything looks clean and professional, and it reflects well on you guys. Respond to any applications or communications submitted through Be a Scout within 24 hours. I know me personally, if I go to a website and I submit, so say I got a box of games from Amazon and it came back damaged, and I send a request to them to say, hey, this thing came back damaged, there's an expectation that we get stuff quick or within 24 hours. Does that mean you need to be sitting on your computer 24/7 looking for these applications and things to come in? Absolutely not. But please make sure you are checking this daily, your Be a Scout, your my.scouting, check that daily. Make sure that you're submitting those requests and getting that taken care of within 24 hours. And overall, make your PIN as inviting as possible, informative as possible, so new parents can learn as much about your unit as possible. We have a fantastic program. That's why we're all here. And there's no reason why there should be a secret. So let's share the word, get the word out, make your PIN really inviting, make it exciting, show parents what your unit does, show them all the cool things you guys do. This is fantastic. So make sure we're doing that. And then lastly, boom, there's that scouting resources. This is from nationalscouting.org/resources, which is the online registration. I'll click to that page briefly. So if you look, there are all videos on how to set it up. It goes through step by step. There's videos, there's a PDF. They tell you how to run Invitation Manager, how to accept applications, how to do it all. If you want to do it all electronically, if you're doing the parking lot thing and you have good internet access, you can do that. You can have a parent scan a QR code, and then it goes right to your unit's application acceptance page. So it's all there. Read this page. It's fantastic. There's great resources. Update your PIN, and I'll turn it back over to Chris.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a bigger net here. Everyone's heard of Google? Now, Doug, could you jump ahead a slide for me? Thank you. So when I want to find really anything online, I go to Google. As you guys see there, Google holds over 91% of the search engine market. That's pretty incredible. So when I go to Google to look for something, it's pretty common for me to type in find blank near me. Now, I've kind of done a little research on my end. When I try to find scouting or Cub Scouts near me, I don't get a lot of results. And I think that's something that we could improve on throughout the entire council, and we want to help you guys do that. We'd like to help work with our units to create Google pins. They're going to be very similar to that information you find on Be a Scout. Now, it's something that you need a Google account for. Some of our units are savvy enough that they have these set up. But basically, the main point is we want you guys to show up in a Google search, and we want you to show up as a pin, as you can see in this picture here, on Google Maps. That's going to help our potential new members find us and find a little bit about us, and then drive them back to sign up through Be a Scout. It's a pretty easy process to create your Google pin for your unit. Yeah, like I said, you got to sign up for the Google email. You can go in through Google Maps, and then you can add your organization or business. They're going to ask for that simple information, your address. So we're probably a best practice there would be to use your chartered organization. You're going to put in a contact number, and then you can have a link back with your website. If you want to drive them to Be a Scout or your pack or troops website, you can make that decision there. There's one thing that you need to do after you get that set up. You need to verify your PIN. And right now, Google's put some restrictions out there. It used to be a little more free form where you could do it online. Now a postcard has to be mailed to your physical address that you list on your Google PIN. That's going to have a code that you need to go back in and activate it with. So that'd be something that we would notify the charter organization. You're going to be receiving this verification code. We'll have to get that from them, the unit leader, and then go back in and activate that Google PIN. But I think it will be a great tool to help us, widen our footprint as people are searching for us on Google, because we know that's how people, try and find things near them, especially scouting. All right.
All right.
We can
Great,
jump to
Chris.
the next slide. This next slide, I like this word here, getting the word out unit level with guerrilla tactics. Now, that's something that I'm very accustomed to as a district executive. I'm a guy that will go into an elementary school and talk to kids with a stuffed dinosaur, and I'm willing to try anything. So the support, you guys will see the support we're going to provide as a council, the targeted ad buys, the Facebook geofencing, the yard signs that we've used. We're going to get those to you again so you can set them up in your neighborhoods to promote your signups. Digital flyers for your unit. I did see a good comment in the chat earlier to share those digital flyers with your schools. They can post them on their Facebook page or their parent-teacher organization group pages. We've had some really good luck in our district with that. Paper flyers, friend-to-friend invitation cards. We've all seen those. Those are those little business card size invites that your scouts can hand out to their friends. Now that'd be if we're in school and we have the ability to do that. The hometown unit correspondent training, we'll get to that here after I wrap up. And then virtual school talk videos for our packs and troops. The national organization has put together some really solid school talk videos that we could send to a school and ask them to play for their students, whether it be classroom to classroom or an assembly system. If we don't have that school access to do the traditional school talks that we're used to, but they're pretty good, and I think they'll be a really great tool for us. Here we're going to jump into those other ideas where the units themselves, you guys can really pump up your recruiting. Ralph mentioned that geofencing. If you get folks in your pack to share on their social media networks, they're really gonna boost that event. So your joint scouting night is a success. You're gonna start that movement. So it's not just one person or two people that are interested in it. You want to get your whole pack, everybody involved, to say they're going to the event, they're interested in it. We have send in news stories a week or two before your recruitment event. It could be something cool you guys did over the summer, a story from camp, or even an event you guys have coming up. But start getting the word out about your unit in your local media. We've shared on other social media. Write a positive review of your unit on Google Reviews or Yelp. So if you guys have those set up already, you can do that. Text messages people I know we all have, we all know the power of group chat. We have our own networks. Some schools, you can even get your hands on the parent directories of your families. You can get the word out that way. Hold a Zoom recruiting event if school access is limited and the the drive-through method at school is a no-go. You know, that Zoom recruitment event could be an option there. It could also be a follow-up event if you are able to have an in-person, but you want to cast a second net there. Here we're even getting a little more creative. This is something I've tried, putting small invitations in grocery store bags on windshields, and then getting them in the actually Happy Meals at different fast food restaurants. You guys know your local, your local communities well. There's certain stores and restaurants that'll work with you to let you do that. So definitely work those partnerships. Post announcements in church bulletins. That's definitely a go-to there, especially if they're your charter organization. It's a great way to keep that positive relationship. But again, make sure you're following the guidelines of your charter organization. I did see that comment in your chat when you're doing that. And then submit school talk videos to elementary principals. Those are those virtual talks that I mentioned above. So that'd be something you can share with your principals, and just make sure that's a go. All right, that's what I have. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, Chris. One more point on all that. That list of items of council support for your unit, all of that again is available on the Cub Scout recruiting resource page, and also this PowerPoint and a tape of this training will also be posted there, so you can go back to see all those links. Right now, we're going to bring up Roger Showman, our newsman, and he's going to walk you through another great way that you can even get more visibility.
Okay. Newspapers and print still has a place in this world. I'm happy. And anyhow, you want to try to get the word out what you are doing. People in your community, if this is a small community, a lot of people are going to know who these kids are, and that's why you want to get that word out to say what they're doing out there. Good way to do that is an article in your hometown paper. Now, it doesn't have to be the newspaper. You may not have one, but very often you're going to have a free publication, a shopper that also carries community news, and that works just as well. So people like to see things in print. They like to hold it in their hands, and this is a good way for you to get that word out. How do you write a news release? It isn't really all that hard, but you want to start with the lead. This is a paragraph that essentially tells the whole story in just a couple of sentences. In the very first paragraph of your article, it sets the hook. It dangles the bait to set the hook so the fish will bite and the reader will want to know more. So here's what you have to answer. Who, what, where, when, and why. And if you can do that in the first paragraph, that's a good lead. If people are interested and you do your job right, they'll go on and get the more detail. Then you can flesh out the story, you can add the details, you can cover the why of the story. But you want to keep that brief, because remember, this space in a newspaper is precious, and that you want to get this story across in as few words as possible. So, writing one, if you've got your news release done, and you may want to make sure that, of course, you use proper grammar and good sentence structure. Remember what they taught you in English. It is important. Now, the editor may correct it, but still, the more whole and complete you can give it to him or her, the better off you're going to be. The less work they have to do, they're going to like it. So put a photo with it. A photo is worth 1,000 words. Really, but you make a photo, don't take one. Make sure you've got everybody in it that you're talking about. If it's a service project, all of the scouts that worked on that project should be in it. But take an action of it. take a picture of them, make a picture of them actually working on the project, but get their faces. Nobody wants to see the back of their heads. Get the light source behind your camera instead of in front of it. Digital stuff nowadays does wonders, but you still got to help it along. And make sure you look at the background and edit your own picture before you send it in so that you make sure there aren't any problems or something unwanted is in that photo. The captions to that, short and sweet, and respect anybody's privacy. If they don't want to be in there, keep them out of it. It's okay. So when you submit your photo or your story, or hopefully the whole works, see if you can do it in person. I always liked it as the editor of my paper. When somebody came in, especially a scout, it showed that they were very mature. They submitted it in person. They showed, back in those days, it was on paper and with an actual photograph, but find out from the paper's website probably how they want it submitted, in what form. It may be by email. I don't know anymore. It depends on the paper itself. Don't give up. They don't necessarily, they may not publish it the week you give it to them. They may not publish it at all, but keep trying. If they're sympathetic, if you've already established a relationship with the editor, with the paper, they're going to be sympathetic to you. And they will see that sometime or another, they're going to use your stories. Check out your media website. They'll have convenient links or instructions on how to submit your stories. And like I said, that way it's changed since I was in the business, but I think you're going to be a whole lot more savvy on that than I am. And here's just a real quick and kind of dumb example of what you can do about submitting one. And you'll notice everything that I talked about, the who, what, where, when, and why, is in that very first lead paragraph. Tim Tenderfoot and Sammy Scout of Troop 807 of Frostbite Falls. That's the who. Completed a service project by building a new observation tower. That's the what. Where did they do it? At the Forlorn Hope Nature Preserve just outside of town. Now, local newspaper people will know what town is, but maybe you do want to say just outside of Frostbite Falls. The Scouts finished the 3-week construction Saturday, that was when, as part of their requirements for the first class rank. And that's the why. There, what? We have 2 sentences, none of them too long, but they explain everything in one. Now you can go back and flesh it out. Tell why more importantly, why everybody has to have, not just that they have to have one, but why. What does a service project do? What other scouts helped on it? Here's where your photograph might come in handy. Have those scouts in it, maybe actually building it, or yeah, you can fake the picture, but have them doing an action shot of some sort. If you line them up in a row, it's what we used to call grip and grin photos, and there's just not much interest in those. But you have them hanging out on an observation tower, that will get people's attention. That's what you want to do. Grab their attention. Show them what we can do as scouts.
Thank you so much, Roger. The only other thing I would add, this is infinitely more effective than what you might think. As we did the camp-in programs during COVID, Hiawatha District in particular was very good at setting up and sending out press releases. And one of the things that happened was the Iron Mountain paper did a very nice article based right out of their press release. And it's a small world now, and even the Dead Tree print newspapers have online facets to them. So all of a sudden, when you were Googling Boy Scouts of America or Boy Scouts, and you were seeing all the negative ads, right in the middle of that, up popped that Iron Mountain article. And the National Council actually saw it and sent it to the rest of the councils in the country. And then we had people from all over the country attending our campus. So this does have a wider effect, and it will help build a better climate for your recruitment night. So obviously, do this for your recruitment night, but do it for everything else. Do it for your trip to summer camp. Troops do it for your Eagle Courts of Honor. But please use the heck out of this idea. It's going to help us all a lot. Thanks, Roger. All right, Tim Coles, what do you have for us?
Yeah, we're just going to look at the campaign timeline. And before I get going, I just want to thank everybody for having me. It's been nice to have a volunteer opportunity, probably for the first time since I moved to the Green Bay area about 8 years ago. So we're going to just review some of the dates here that we've mentioned time and time again during tonight's training. So July 21st, congratulations. You can already check one thing off your list. Tonight, obviously, the fall recruitment training. August 1st, you want to make sure that you have your unit membership coordinator contact information updated. That's due to council. Get those correspondents and those editors recruited, picked out. One of the cool things I saw in the presentation was, you might even have somebody in your troop or your den that's really super interested in it. That's something. Don't wait until August 1st to get. Just contact them tonight and start forming those relationships with your media representatives. Unit Be a Scout pins, have those updated by units, have your Google pin information submitted to council. And all those items are really super important to do, especially speaking as somebody in the local media. We rely a lot on that, just in case we might beat you to the punch. If you're thinking about doing a press release, we might find that first and try to contact you. And the more complete that information is, the easier it is for us to contact you, and the easier it is for us to be able to report that. So those 4 or 5 items there, the more complete you make that, hopefully that will make the other things that we'll cover in this campaign timeline pop even more. August 15th, we want to make sure that you have those unit support material orders due to council. And the PAC recruitment dates and locations also due to council. I know at DoorCountyDailyNews.com, we actually did a story with all those PAC recruitment dates and troop recruitment dates. So really important to make sure that you get those dates put in there. And then, like I said, those items, if you nail those, if you get in people's faces right away now, frequency is energy. So when that ad campaign starts September 7th, running through October 24th, that's when that ad campaign will be running. And then between September 7th and mid-October is when those PAC recruitment events will be taking place. We've heard if you need to schedule multiple PAC recruitment events because you operate out of or you recruit from several different schools, make sure you do that. And then from mid-October on, that's when you'll do a lot of your troop and crew recruiting. So that's the timeline.
Thank you, Tim. And the only thing I'd like to add there, this has been very Cub Scout focused, but for all of you online with us from troops and crews, please help out your PACs. And then a lot of these materials you can use for your own units. With that, we're going to go to my boss, Brian Robb, Director of Field Service.
Well, thanks, Doug, and thanks everybody. It's great to be here tonight. It's really exciting to see over 230 people engaged in this process. I know that there's a lot of uncertainty, but in where we've been the last several months, and uncertainty about where we're going. Certainly, we're in some uniquely challenging times here. But we're doing our best here to adapt to our new reality. I know, I think our team here is all pulling together, and we know that we can and will find successes in creating opportunities to welcome new families to the programs of the Boy Scouts of America this fall. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more. I think the next slide there, Doug, talks just to kind of sew things up a little bit here tonight. I know we've thrown a lot of information your way. Some of it is new information. Some of it is to support what we already know. But really kind of boiled down into 12 steps. A couple of things that we're really looking for in the next couple of weeks is to identify who those new member coordinators and those hometown news editors are going to be. We want to get those names on board so we can start communicating with them. And that new member coordinator really is not the Cub Master, Scout Master, not the person that's going to be in front of the room, but the person that's going to help kind of coordinate everything on your recruitment night. I want to make sure that we're updating those Be a Scout pins, that we're making contact with our schools to schedule recruitment events. And we know that, as Doug said earlier, that we're really uncertain as to what the right time is. If you call a school right now, the answer may be, we can't let you in. And other schools may say, well, if we can find a way, yeah, sure, you're welcome here. So it's going to be different in every school district, every community, but we want to make sure that we're reaching out and understanding that that outside drive-through event would be that secondary plan that we could move forward with. Also requesting to attend school back to school open house days in August here. I know we're getting a lot of pushback, people saying that they're just not comfortable with units doing that. But there may be some outside presence, maybe some posters, yard signs, just to put in front of the school to let people know that that the Scouts are alive and well, and we're ready to move forward in the fall here. We want to share those recruitment events with the council on that council page, so we can capture those events. Also, we want to capture your supply requests so we can provide support for you. We want to make sure we get the word out in our local communities. So we're going to share those events, put those press releases out, utilize Facebook, utilize social media as well as those local media contacts. And we're going to utilize that the geofencing project, the Google pin verification, as well as just making sure that we're ready to execute our events and turn those applications in. And ideally, we say ideally the best time to recruit is really the second, third week of school. With this year, with some schools starting virtual, the national organization I think is looking to provide support from a virtual perspective as well. But again, there's a lot of a lot of fluidity to the situation right now. So we just want you to know that we're in it together. We're here to help, and we certainly know that it takes a village, and we appreciate all your efforts to partner with us, and we're partnering with you to help make this happen. So I know there's probably some questions that are out there, and we've got a lot of questions that have been monitored and answered. But Chris and Patrick, if there's anything that maybe hasn't been answered, one thing I will mention that I saw, there's I think National is also putting together plans for Cub Scout den meeting support. So there's actually videos that are being shot all around the country right now to really have the entire catalog of Cub Scout den meetings ready virtually. So if we find there's a situation where we can't meet in person, we'll have a online video catalog to help support den meeting activity. So that more to come on that. It's coming together very quickly. I think the deadline, national head on that was July 31st for some August rollout. So more to come on that. Chris and Patrick, anything you saw out there that needed to be addressed?
I think the one I had just maybe a clarification on the range of the media advertising that will include some of the southern ends of our district. Could we just clarify how that works?
Yeah, I was going to mention that in the closing. Okay. I will confirm that I think I saw quite a few concerns about Mequon and Sheboygan and even into the UP. We are making sure when we purchase those digital ads and the streaming that it is the entire footprint. We can geofence exactly around the Bay Lakes area. That's why we chose to do digital instead of things like a regular TV buy, where we would be buying a lot of area we didn't want and missing areas we needed. This allows us that flexibility.
Any other burning questions, Chris or Patrick, that we ought to cover?
I found a couple things to point out. One question was about digital applications through Be a Scout. Does not accommodate for PAC specific registrations costs. Can this be put into the PIN info?
So I can answer that, Patrick. So the PIN information, the only, you got it? Okay. So the thing about the registration fees is it only goes to national. That only covers the national registration fee. It does not cover PAC fees if PACs have them.
Did that answer that question adequately?
So I think the answer then to the question would be then they could put, if there's additional fees, there is a place for that.
They could make a note that there's additional fees, but the actual fee collection on Be a Scout is only set for those national fees and Boys Life registration.
Correct.
There's also an option where you can put when they get their confirmation email that they've registered, you can put a note in there that says we have a PAC fee of X for supplies and whatnot. They do offer that option, but Be a Scout will not collect the fees for you, if that makes sense.
Okay, so that is a limitation with Be a Scout. They'll collect the national fee and let you leave a note to at least let those prospective members know there's going to be dues or other fees.
And a question that just came up too was the fees that they collect, through Be a Scout, is my understanding, they collect the prorated fees from that month that they would sign up on Be a Scout through beascout.org, plus the $25 new member fee. And then the additional Boys Life fee would be an optional add-on when they sign up online.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's prorated through December 31st. Yes.
And then there was another good point on there that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention too, that I saw was that sometimes if we put on our beascout.org, the unit pins that we cover certain schools, that we should also make it known that homeschool youth are welcome to join your PAC as well.
Good idea.
Doug, if I may, there is one question I just saw that regarding the $25 joining fee. From the research that I found, it was not applicable to adult leaders. It's just youth that are brand new and haven't been registered previously in the program. If they are transferring into our council from another council, they would not have to pay that $25 joining fee because they are considered having been previously in the program.
Awesome. Good to know.
One other point, because there was one mention about tech issues with Be a Scout come September as traffic increases on that site. I know National has done a number of updates over the last few months, anticipating increased traffic on Be a Scout for online applications. There's always the possibility that things could go south when there's hundreds of thousands of people across the country using it. My only real recommendation is, if you want to plan to use Be a Scout for, a recruiting event that you're having and you have a bank of computers set up, make sure you have some paper applications as a backup, just in case. And if you need paper applications, I just got 10 cases, and I also have a PDF of the youth application that is fillable and can be submitted online, or you can print it on the resource page.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. And yeah, just keep thinking those drive-through sign-up events. I think those will help a lot. Anything else, guys? Should we move on? We're a little over an hour here. We're a lot over an hour. We're at.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, folks.
All right. So again, just want to make sure that just to reiterate, update your Be a Scout pin. We want to get that new member coordinator and hometown news editor on board here in the next couple of weeks, and then we want to make sure that we're reaching out to those schools to figure out the dates, times, locations. We can get those onto the Cub Scout recruitment resources page for baylakesbsa.org. It's located at the baylakesbsa.org website under Cub Scout recruitment resources. And then we'll, again, we set to do those the Facebook geofencing starting now, between now and mid-October. So we're moving forward with that process. So as you populate those dates, we will provide the marketing support to help find success. So looking forward to a great fall. Again, appreciate all your efforts. I know this is again uncertainty and challenging times, but we're certainly thankful that that you're here. We're thankful that you're impacting the lives of youth, and we understand that it's going to be interesting, and look forward to working with you. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Nikki to close us out.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone again for allowing me to be a part of this committee. Thank you everyone for sitting through this presentation tonight. We did our best to try to cover all of our bases for people that are digitally savvy, are good with computers, have access to the internet, and those that don't, so that we have the opportunity to reach them from multiple avenues and throughout the entire area of the Bay Lakes BSA. But I really I want to leave everybody with just to stress that now is the perfect time for Scout